Fairview Park. It's a fascinating 208 acres of open space, enjoyed by bicyclists, bird watchers, environmentalists, historians, fitness fanatics, and casual strollers alike. So why is it so fantastic, you may ask? That's because there's something for everybody. It's an educational experience. There's the trails, the vernal pools, the riparian habitat, the wildlife, and the bluffs for an incredible aerobic workout, or for an even more spectacular view. As fantastic as it is, its environmental value is astronomical. Let's take a look at how this crown jewel called Fairview Park, and specifically the riparian habitat, has become a sanctuary for endangered species. Costa Mesa's spacious Fairview Park is a gem of nature. It is home to miles of scenic trails, bluffs with ocean views, and ecologically rich vernal pools, and a lush riparian habitat. What was once neglected land has transformed into a vibrant ecosystem teeming with wildlife. In September 2009, thanks to numerous funds and grants, an extensive restoration effort breathed new life into the habitat. Improvements included plantings of habitat, irrigation, and water delivery systems, as well as multi-purpose trails. Barry Nerhus is a biologist with Endemic Environmental Services, a nonprofit consulting firm in wildlife research. His team has conducted restoration and surveys on the riparian habitat since the outset.
Riparian refers to actually the trees and habitat that grows next to water. So it's a Greek word. Ripa means next to water. It's about 40 acres of habitat. And within that, you have 6 acres of wetlands, about 23 acres of riparian, and then coastal sage scrub, which is the shrubland areas, and then a little bit of grassland.
Perhaps the greatest landscape-altering change was the construction of the ponds and streams. An underground pipe sends untreated water from the Greenville-Banning Channel into Pond A at the highest elevation, and by gravity, water cascades into the remaining ponds, ending in Pond E. This ingenious water delivery system provides a natural solution to treating urban runoff, which prevents pollutants from reaching the ocean or having to be treated by the sanitation district. Practicality isn't the only function of the water delivery system. The ponds are situated amidst lush vegetation, forming a scenic tapestry that visitors may enjoy as they stroll or bike along the habitat's multi-purpose trails. Fairview Park and its riparian habitat provide a magnificent recreational destination just a stone's throw from urban Costa Mesa. Nature lovers aren't the only ones who enjoy the area. The riparian habitat falls along the Pacific Flyway for migrating waterfowls such as ducks and geese, and it also serves as a sanctuary for several endangered birds.
The riparian habitat that we have back here is really important for several species, and especially this one species known as the leaf-spells vireo. The leaf-spells vireo is an endangered species federally and state. So U.S. Fish and Wildlife and California Department of Fish and Wildlife both have it listed as an endangered species.
5 years after restoration of the riparian habitat, a pair of least-bells vireos nested successfully in the area. They've returned for consecutive years, a positive ecological achievement. The birds are summer residents, so they nest here from mid-April to mid-August and like to spend their winters in the warmer climate of Cabo San Lucas in Baja, California. Nerhus and his team have made several efforts to protect the least-bells vireo, among them trapping and relocating the invasive brown-headed cowbird.
So they're what you call a nest parasitizer. They lay eggs in other birds' nests, and then when that egg hatches, it knocks all the other baby chicks out of the nest from least bill's vireo, whatever other bird they're laying their eggs in, and kick them out, and then the parents just feed that brown-headed cowbird.
Nerhus hopes removing the brown-headed cowbird will lead to more least-bill vireos successfully nesting in the habitat, since it is the only known population of least-bill's vireos in Costa Mesa. Shrubland spread along the canyon and climbing up Placentia Avenue serves as a winter home to another endangered species, called the California gnatcatcher. The bird is a federally threatened species regulated by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Although gnatcatchers reside here every winter, 2016 was the first year the species successfully nested and fledged 4 chicks in the area.
And now you can actually hear several of them flying up and down the canyon, utilizing the restored areas, as habitat in the winter. And hopefully we can increase that population as well.
Up on the mesa, another feathery aviator has taken up winter residence in Fairview Park. The burrowing owl owes its name to inhabiting the abandoned burrows of mostly California ground squirrels, but have been known to occupy badger burrows and even the occasional coyote den. Unlike most of their kin, burrowing owls are often active during the day. They prefer open landscapes with short vegetation, so that their long legs can aid their big yellow eyes in surveying the landscape for predators or the next meal.
They're what we call a mesopredator. So they're not top of the food chain like you would expect, like a tiger or a lion, or in this case, a mountain lion. But they are a predator in the middle. They eat large insects, lizards, small mammals like mice, and even small birds. But they also can be predated on by larger top predators like a red-tailed hawk. They're kind of an interlinking part of the food web.
The burrowing owl's migration pattern is opposite from the least bells. The latter is a summer resident here and winters in Baja California, whereas the burrowing owl nests in Canada, Washington, and Oregon regions, and then migrates south to winter in cozy Costa Mesa and surrounding lands. Interestingly, the burrowing owl is an endangered species in the northern Pacific, but is locally categorized as a species of special concern.
In Orange County, there used to be hundreds and hundreds of pairs of burrowing owls. Even here at Fairview Park across here that you see on these green hills, there were many, many burrowing owls that were known to occur here breeding. So now, in the past 15 years, they've kind of all left. They, due to urbanization and loss of habitat, now we only have wintering burrowing owls. And at this time, this month, there are 4 burrowing owls wintering here on this mesa that you can see right here.
Costa Mesa's Fairview Park functions beyond just a place to play catch and have a picnic. It is home to vernal pools, wetlands, and riparian habitat, providing a sanctuary for at-risk species and a wildlife recreational experience for generations of visitors to come. Amazing. I love how that ingenious water system protects the environment, but also how it has become a vital part of sustaining a delicate ecosystem. But hold on, it's not the only delicate ecosystem we have here in Fairview Park. Up here on the bluffs, we have the incredible vernal pools. For vernal pools to exist, you need unique geological conditions. You need to have shallow depressions on top of a hard pan where water will not percolate down to the lower soil strata. And when that happens, we get vernal pools, a habitat for endangered species and animals like the fairy shrimp.
Wow, I got all that stuff at home.
Hi, I'm Tony Baumkamp with Glenn Lucas Associates. I'm a biologist who's been working on the vernal pools here at Fairview Park since 1993.
The city of Costa Mesa definitely has a rich history.
And today, we are all at the forefront.
That's when we first identified them and began doing different types of surveys in them, looking for rare plants. And in the late 1990s, we found the San Diego fairy shrimp, which is federally listed as endangered. In the pool over by Estancia High School, we also found the San Diego fairy shrimp. More recently, we restored a couple of pools off of Canyon. These are some of the highest quality vernal pools in Southern California, and certainly the most diverse and high quality pools that we have in Orange County. Like you've heard of the vernal equinox. Well, this vernal refers to spring.
What's the big idea?
Vernal equinox. Noun. The moment at which the sun passes over the equator, occurring around March 21st, marking the beginning of spring, and when night and day are of equal length.
We start getting rainfall typically in Southern California in late October, early November, and as these pools start to soak up water, the clays that constitute the pool's surface begin to swell. And only after we get about 5 or 6 or 7 inches of rain will those cracks in the pool start to really swell shut. It takes a long time for the soils to get charged, then the pools fill. They'll go from being dry to being full within a period of hours. The fairy shrimp are really unique organisms. They have been around in a geologic time scale for many hundreds of millions of years. The fairy shrimp that we have here is the San Diego fairy shrimp. They occur only in San Diego County and Orange County. When the females are inseminated by the males, their eggs are fertilized and become what we call resting eggs or cysts, which then the female then drops out of her egg pouch into the water. They sink into the mud where they dry over the summer. When we get rainfall, the eggs will then hydrate, the cysts will swell, and the fairy shrimp will hatch out. The shrimp live for about 3 to 4 weeks, which get up to about an inch or maybe an inch and a quarter long, and they'll swim around in the pool, they'll mate, and then they disappear. And so it's a really unique life cycle. The primary value that fairy shrimp have is for birds. Each fairy shrimp has about 5 or 6, maybe a big one will have 7 or 8 calories. If you're a duck and you're swimming around in this pool and you eat 100 fairy shrimp, you've just eaten about 800 calories. That can be enough for you to then be able to fly another couple hundred miles. The bird will then fly to another pool, inoculate the pool, because their shrimp are not actually digested, so they can actually make it through the digestive tract of a bird without being harmed. That's how fairy shrimp move from pool to pool to pool. The park also has a very common fairy shrimp, which the Latin name is Branconecta lindeli.
Branconecta what?
Branconecta lindeli.
Huh? What?
Branconecta lindeli.
Branconecta lindeli. Branconecta lindeli. Branconecta lindeli. Try saying that 3 times fast.
This other fairy shrimp is kind of the weed of fairy shrimp, and so it occurs in all the little puddles and things on the pathways around the park, which is much more likely to be in disturbed habitats and non-vernal pool areas. The large pool has about 18 vernal pool plant species in it, of which 5 have special status, meaning that they're listed by the Native Plant Society as rare and endangered. These plants are specially adapted to these kind of conditions. The seed bank can last for a long time. We have these long periods of drought and the pool doesn't fill. The seeds are able to survive over these long dry periods, and then as soon as they get rain, up they come. In urban areas such as Orange County, Los Angeles County, a large portion of the pools have been lost either through agriculture originally, and then later those areas were ultimately developed. There was some fill placed in the pool back in the mid-1980s. We actually restored the pool back to its historic extent, and so it's now functioning for hundreds of thousands of years. As far as what we would consider to be naturally occurring pristine vernal pools, these are by far the most significant in Orange County. As far as the public goes, the most important thing is just to stay out of the pools while they have water in them, but also during the dry season when the pools are dry, they're going to have very many special status plants in the pools during the spring and into the early summer. All the seeds, the fairy shrimp cysts, all those are in the soil. The boardwalk we're standing on is something that the city did in order to provide the public access while protecting the pool. We don't want people walking around in the pools because they can damage the seeds and the cysts from the rare plants and animals that live here. This is a great place for education. I teach at Cal State Fullerton in the Environmental Studies program, and I will probably be bringing my students out here so that they can see some really high quality vernal pools. Fairview Park is one of the last refugia where these species still occur. The city has worked closely with the biologists to make sure that the pools are protected and that they're going to be protected in perpetuity for the public and for the plants and animals that live within them. The Fish and Wildlife Service, which is the federal agency which is tasked with regulating some of the organisms here, have also been engaged with the city to make sure that the pools are preserved, that their watersheds are healthy. In general, these are going to continue to be a very high-functioning ecosystem for many decades and even centuries to come.
So for the San Diego fairy shrimp, it's kind of a wash and repeat cycle. They flourish, lay their eggs, the pools dry up, then they disappear, but when it rains again, they come back. No wonder the San Diego fairy shrimp is an endangered species. As wonderful as Fairview Park is, keep in mind it's a wilderness park within an urban setting. And some of its inhabitants can get out into the city. So the city of Costa Mesa and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife have come up with a management plan to target one such inhabitant.
The city of Costa Mesa is located between two very natural wilderness areas for the coyotes, the Santa Ana River Channel and the Newport Back Bay. This area gives the animals shelter, food, and a wonderful habitat. In order to keep our family members and pets safe, the city of Costa Mesa has implemented a coyote management plan. It's an educational, strategic, and proactive plan designed with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Let's see what we could do to live in harmony with coyotes.
The coyote is a very, very important and special part of this ecology. The coyote maintains the rodent population. Stop and think for just a minute. If we didn't have coyotes here in the city, how many rats would be overrun, or rabbits that we'd have eating our gardens continually and chewing up the lawn. So the coyotes play a tremendous role in our city. A few things you can do if you happen to be confronted by a coyote. Maybe you're possibly walking your pet through the neighborhood and all of a sudden you see a coyote. What do? First thing you do is, if you're by yourself, you pick that animal up and hold that animal high, up close. You back away slowly, maintaining eye contact, and you never, ever, ever turn your back, turn sideways. You maintain that eye contact and back up slowly and get to safety. Now, if you're fortunate enough to be walking your animal with another person, again, if you confront a coyote or a group of coyotes, pick that animal up high, hold them up high, and the other person can get started in a process we call hazing.
Shoot! Get!
Pick yourself as big as you can. Get your arms up high, move your arms, move your body. Remember, the two best things you've got going for you are your body and your voice. Scream and yell, wave your arms, jump up and down. You might even pick up some rocks and throw it near the coyote.
Shoot!
And something else, just as a side note, we don't want kids hazing coyotes. That just doesn't work. Never run from the coyote. That triggers that predator-prey relationship, and that's something we just don't want to do. If you should encounter a group of coyotes, what you do is that first coyote, the coyote closest to you, chances are, is the lead coyote in the family. What you want to do is focus on that coyote and haze that coyote. If you haze that coyote, the others will follow and leave.
Go away! Shoot! Go away! Get back!
When you start hazing the coyote is going to run 10, 15 feet, turn around and look at you. So what do? You continue to haze. You move in closer to the coyote and you haze it again. It's curious. It wants to see what's coming next. Using again your voice and your body, or any other items you brought with you, like a shaker can as an example, an air horn, anything you can use to make loud noise. We always recommend, especially if you're walking animals, carry a cane, maybe a walking stick of some kind. Some people carry umbrellas with them when they're walking. Again, just a tool to use to work on that coyote and beat it on the ground, or open that umbrella up large, make it big, whatever. Coyote is not going to go much more than a half a mile from its last meal. So that's an important fact to remember. If you have attractants in the neighborhood, they're going to keep the coyotes there in that general area. So what are attractants? Attractants can be barbecue grills that haven't been cleaned, fruit that hasn't been picked up off the ground after it's fallen off of trees. Believe it or not, a bird feeder can be an attractant for a coyote. Why? Not so much the bird seed that's in the feeder, because birds will land on that feeder, scratch that seed, it falls on the ground. The rodents come in and get that excess feed. Guess who eats the rodents? So you can see where it is a chain reaction. And also, besides bird feeders, you know, you've got situations with people feeding pets outside. That's probably the biggest problem that I face as a volunteer, is people feeding coyotes either directly or indirectly. And the bottom line is, folks that feed animals outside and don't pick up that extra food and water, the coyotes will come in and get that extra food and water. Feral cat feeding is another issue. By feeding cats, the coyotes will come in and take a cat, unfortunately, but they'll also come in and get that extra cat food. And again, that just keeps the coyotes in the area. So managing trash, making sure that your trash is always secure, the lid's tight, and either rodents or the coyotes can't get into that trash can. We recommend, if it's at all possible, put that trash can in the garage. And if you do that, the coyote can still get the smell, the scent, but he can't get to the food. And remember, coyotes are scavengers. They'll eat anything. The coyotes are after the small animals 20 pounds or under, ideally 10. That is so easy prey for them to take. Remember what the motivation of the coyote is. It wants the greatest opportunity at success in getting a meal with the least amount of energy expended and the least amount of personal risk to the animal. Because the coyote knows there's no animal hospital in animal land. If that coyote gets hurt, that coyote can't eat. If it can't eat, it will die. Manage your pet. Don't walk your animals in the park or on trailways, etc., streets with those long retractable leashes. No more than a 6-foot leash. Keep that animal close to you when you walk, and for goodness sake, stay off the cell phone. Pay attention to your animal. Your animal will actually tell you if there's danger in the area. So listen to your animal at all times. Don't walk them near brushy areas right next to the walkway or path. Stay in open areas. Stay away from any kind of close proximity to trees, brush, or etc. Never leave it unattended in the backyard. If you do, forgive me, you're just putting that animal in the food chain. The coyotes are in your backyard almost every night. They know how many pets you have. They know what time you take them out and feed them. They're very, very intelligent animals, and they can jump a 6-foot fence with no problem like that. In terms of predators for the coyote in the city, there aren't any. The only predator in the city for the coyote are automobiles. And automobiles kill a lot of coyotes. We find them all the time on the streets. And your animal services group is picking up coyotes all the time. And the truth is, they become such a big part of our city that we need to know more about them. When we're working with residents in a given community area with a program that the state offers, a pilot program called Wildlife Watch, we offer to residents to inventory their backyard. We'll come in and make recommendations. As an example, we might suggest, if you've got a jacuzzi and if it's not being used, cover it. You know, it's a source of water, and obviously we can't take all the water out of the city, but just remember one thing: everything you do to remove food, water, shelter, or space will help in moving the coyotes on. We're here to protect the wildlife for this wonderful state and all the animals that we own and love.
The goal of Wildlife Watch is obviously to live in harmony with the wildlife, where the people live in harmony. And what harmony means is that one word: it's learning how to respect wildlife. And I use the term respect is because most people don't understand what it means to respect wildlife. Respecting wildlife means that you're a good steward of wildlife. When you allow pet food to stay out, when you know there's coyotes in your neighborhood, you're disrespecting that wildlife. When you allow the grass in your lawn to get so large that it provides habitat for rodents, which will in turn attract the coyotes into your area, that's disrespecting wildlife. Could be a water source, could be a number of things. Wildlife Watch deals with the development of a plan, and within that plan, number one is development of an urban wildlife conflict policy for your city. Then when your agencies are coached to where they feel that they can go out and they can train the public, then they become conservation coaches to the public and implement it at the community level. That way the community feels empowered, that they're making a difference in their community, they're helping to be a part of making it safer, and then you're meeting the objective and the mandate, which is stated in the Fish and Game Code, that cities and the officials of cities have the ability to encourage and preserve the wildlife that lives within their cities.
Well, there you have it, our coyote management plan. To report an encounter with a coyote or for further information, please visit our website. The City of Costa Mesa, in partnership with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, want you, your family, and pets to be safe from the urbanization of coyotes. So please follow the simple strategies in our coyote management plan. And remember, if you have a coyote encounter, don't ignore them, haze them. Yell at them, make loud noises to scare them, and do not ever run from a coyote. Also make sure you take the simple yet necessary precautions around your home and businesses to ensure your safety and the safety of your loved ones.
So there you have it. We hope you've enjoyed this look at the spectacular Fairview Park, certainly a crown jewel for Costa Mesa. For more information about Fairview Park and its resources, you can visit the city's webpage. So now it's time to get out and enjoy this wonderful wilderness park. Do some bird watching, some bike riding, walk some of the trails, and after the rains, maybe catch a fairy shrimp sighting or two. Fairview Park, another gem that makes Costa Mesa the capital of cool.